This is just an artist that's just processing thoughts out loud. And it made me think about, and this was actually going to be a separate topic that I wanted to talk to you about, Dr. Rod, but it kind of flowed into this topic so well that there was an interview with Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro just recently where they were talking about the halo effect. And they were talking about how, unfortunately, our society puts so much importance and value on celebrities that just because they're good at something, we now look to them as being the answer for everything. You know, we look to Matt Damon to be the answer for climate change, or just because he happens to be good at acting, or we look at some celebrities like Taylor Swift or whatever on her rants about the economy and whatever she wants to talk about, that we kind of take that because they're a famous person, because they're a celebrity. It's this halo effect of like, well, they must know everything. Dr. Rod, what's your take on us as leaders? I suppose twofold. Number one, looking to people with the halo effect, but also us falling, I suppose, victim to having the halo effect ourselves.
Oh, yes. And I just echo your comment in relation to Kanye West. Thinking aloud, I would suggest he's probably one who processes everything orally.
Yes.
And that would be reflected in his artistry as well. So I don't find anything he said very informative, nor do I find it offensive because of who he is.
Yeah.
With respect to the halo effect, it does seem to be pretty important. And I've done a little bit of reading on it just in the last few days. And I think it's exaggerated as well, of course, by social media.
Yep.
But also, I would have to say, I think, and this is a generalization, so it doesn't apply universally, but as a generalization, our education system no longer really teaches people how to think for themselves.
Yeah, that's good.
And so this notion that a great, say, musical artist or actor, I look up to them, I hang on every word, that's not being counted really by the education system, which broadly speaking is now teaching people what to think, not how to think.
Yeah.
And the same in the media. We're not getting very much proper analysis of news and current affairs anymore. I think that there are some independent, mainly conservative media organisations that I think do a fairly good job. And they are quite open about, what political persuasion they're coming from and so on, what their worldview is.
Yeah.
So they're at least being honest with us. But I don't think we can trust the mainstream media at all, because they're also telling us what to think.
Yeah.
They're not really presenting us with information, with two sides of the story, etc., and enabling us to draw our own conclusions. So I really think that this is a worldview issue. Yeah. That we're not really learning how to learn best anymore, because that's dangerous to those people who really want to peddle their own perspective.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't find what Kanye West said surprising, offensive, or edifying.
Yeah, that's good. And I suppose that kind of goes back to, like, well, what do you expect? He's an artist.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're trying to get to with this. Is like don't place too much importance on people. I also want to just take a moment to talk about the halo effect and the impact I believe it has on poor leadership. And as you've probably heard me mention, we're on a mission to eradicate poor leadership by raising up the next generation of influential leaders to learn, live, and lead on purpose. And we do that with link in the description, our free leadership development program that's completely faith-based. And our mission is to eradicate poor leadership. And I believe that sometimes poor leadership is a result of us putting the halo effect on people that happen to be good at certain things, like celebrities, we look to a celebrity and go, you're amazing as an actor, or you're amazing on the sports court or field, or you're great with a ball or whatever. So now I look to you for my answers. And when that person doesn't have it all together in the rest of their life, we then fall apart. I've seen too often, pastors. We do this to our pastors. We give our pastors a halo effect, right? We expect that we kind of put them up on a pedestal. While we should, yes, honor and respect our pastors, remember they're human. They're fallible as well. They're not any better than us just because they happen to be on stage preaching on a Sunday. They are not the only person that hears from God. We can't rely on them to be the only person that hears from God. We need to live our own lives. We need to connect with God. We need to hear ourselves from God. And so I feel like there's too much poor leadership, partly on our fault, because we put so much emphasis on a pastor who happens to be an amazing pastor, and we expect them to be a great leader. They're different callings. Or they may be a great teacher, and we expect them to also be a great leader. They're different callings. And so we need to understand that there is a difference between them being good at something and them being good at everything. We can't expect the other people to have, to wear a halo. And also, conversely, we also can't expect to wear the halo as well. We can't expect that we're all the best. Like if you're a pastor, you can't, just because you're the pastor, you're not expected, and I'm kind of like, this is kind of like a PSA, you're not expected to be a great leader. Right? Yes, your team expects you to, but maybe that's not what God has gifted you to exactly. And so don't put that pressure on yourself to pretend that you need to be a good leader, or that you are a good leader. Maybe reach out and get some help to become a better leader, because we want to help you to partner with that gift that God's given you to preach, to evangelize, to teach, to be an apostle, to whatever it is that to prophesy, to whatever God's called you to. We want to partner with you. And sorry, I did go on a little bit of a rant there, Dr. Rob, but what's your take on that?
Look, I don't know that I can add very much. You know me, I'm the one who usually goes on the rant, but I can only say ditto. And really, we just need, as leaders ourselves, to be very aware that sometimes people will put us on a pedestal. And it's very flattering when people want to know what we think or what we would do in a whole range of situations. But I think wisdom says be fairly careful to act within the assignment that God has given you.
That's good.
Yeah, and just make your judgments on that basis. But Craig, there's a great deal of wisdom in what you've said, and I really don't think I can add to it.
Great. Well, you did, so thank you. And hey, you've just watched an excerpt from the On the Cubed Leadership Podcast. If you'd like to watch the full episode, click the link, and hey, we would love it if you would consider subscribing to watch more faith-based leadership content.